Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pass the Syrup, the estate agency and letting agency podcast for agents, by agents, everyone on is agents, only good agents I might add, except for today because we've got Chris with us. But generally speaking, high quality stuff. We're going to be talking all things agency over the next 45 minutes. Let me introduce our magnificent guests. So first up, this is a first. We have Toby Martin of Bath reside in Bath. But much more importantly, he's here on his wedding anniversary. I didn't forget.
I am.
How many years? Congratulations, Toby. You've survived how long?
You didn't tell me you were going to ask me hard questions like that.
We're going to get right into the details, the nuts and bolts right now.
8 years.
Mate, I was 27 years yesterday.
All right, just straight in. Not to be outdone. There she is, 27 years.
Secrets of your longevity?
Oh, have some sort of filter on your screen, mate. Works wonders.
Botox?
No.
Well, congratulations to both of you. Good effort. They're lucky sods, your partners, I'm sure. I can't
agree with that in the slightest bit.
Leads a very different experience to Angie's poor husband. Just kidding, Ange. And so straight over to Ange, C Residential up in Rugeley, the Esther's current #1 agent in the UK.
So next week.
They're coming up soon. How's it going, Ange?
Next week. Yeah, all good. Cool.
All good. You're looking 30 years younger with this current filter. You're looking good.
It is current filter on go.
Looking good. And finally, Baby Shark, Chris Buckler is here. Best hair. Well, I say this most weeks, actually. Most people have got better hair than me. Great hair, but much more importantly, bringing a new business to the UK, the estate agency. Obviously, you get a good feeling for the man's ego that he's actually called his business the estate agency. But brilliant name, lovely branding. Chris, how's it going, mate?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm going to probably get torn apart the whole podcast, which I'm looking forward to. I know I spoke a bit too much in the last one as well, so I plan to do exactly the same again. So there we go.
Listen, this is going to be for me, this will be a challenging episode because you three can waffle on. But three very good wafflers who anyone watching or listening, I'm sure you're going to come away having learned something or laughed at us. Who knows? So let's crack straight on. I'm going to ask you the big question for this week. Catch you off guard. What's your favourite chocolate bar?
Dairy milk.
Oh, dairy milk. What, just plain dairy milk?
Yeah, plain dairy milk.
Interesting.
White chocolate Twix.
Oof.
I'm addicted.
Oh, you're a bit washed down wherever you live. Bloody hell.
Oh, that is.
Yeah.
Wow, you've got
and they do the extra large fingers as well.
Yeah,
and there's actually nothing to say there, is there?
Extra large white chocolate Twix finger.
Let's move on.
Do you take it down in one, or do you?
Here we go. Here we go.
It depends how I'm feeling on the day. I can fit two in.
Can't we all?
No problem.
Oh God! All right, Chris.
I'm the new being from the Midlands. I like to support Grenade. They're brilliant, but the new Oreo Grenade protein bar is really, really nice. You wouldn't think it was a protein bar. Have you had it, Ben?
Well, no, I don't know if I've had the Oreo one. I used to like the Grenade bars when I was a bit, heavier and into the lifting. But don't do this regional support thing. Being a Midlands lad, guys, playing that card. Get out.
Where are you based? Sorry, Chris. Where are you based?
Central London, but I was born and raised in Solihull.
Oh, there you go. You know every
first agency.
Yeah.
Not too far.
Yeah.
And now though, you've got your coverage is far and wide, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So we've got agents as far north as Preston, and we've just signed someone on the south coast.
There you go. Look, I'm just looking at you now. Look, there you go.
What, Ange? What are you doing?
Just having a look at his website one.
I thought you were showing something not appropriate on your phone.
I wish I was.
Toby's taking two fingers, and you're showing me silly things. Well, it's going to be one of those episodes. This is good. All right. So the real big question, which I've got to ask, and we've got, I think, a good selection of people to answer this. Why is it that pretty average estate agents think that they can transfer over to a self-employed model and they're going to be a roaring success? Because, you know, yeah, we work in that model. Fine and Country, there's lots of self-employed agents. They call them associates in this brand. People come with an interesting looking CV and they decide, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to crack it over there. Why? What? Any ideas why?
Can I jump?
Go on, Ange.
Because I think that they just say if they're coming from an agency that's established, just like mine, really. And if you make it look easy, the good estate agents make it look easy. And when they work for you, I'm not saying everybody, because obviously I've never had anybody go and set up on a self-employed model, but you're there, aren't you? And you cosset them. When you own a business, you cosset agents, you should do anyway, and you try and protect them and stuff like that, but obviously make your money. And I think that people, some are just think they've just got bigger balls than they have, really, and they just think it's going to be dead easy because they're really popular and the ratings are great and they're great valuers and all that. But it's so much more, isn't it? We all know that. It's just so much more. So I think it's that, particularly in this market, well, the market we've just been through, they think, oh, look at all this money coming in. Dead easy, this. It's just dead easy. And I think that ego, maybe. There are some great agents, great self-employed agents, I'm sure, somewhere.
They must exist. I'm sure. I know they exist. I know.
No, I don't. I was only joking, but yeah, of course they exist. But you have to have big balls, particularly in this market, to do it.
So, Toby's. So the question is, why do they think they're going to be pretty average over here and pretty good over there? So, you know, Angie's point, they've got to have big balls. You know, their ego getting in the way. That doesn't mean they're going to be a success, though, just because they've got that naive, maybe level of audacity. I'm not sure.
I think we're a very difficult industry to get away with being average in. I think it's a really demanding profession, working in property. I'm not going to knock either the self-employed or the average. Some of my best friends are very average, but if that's what you want to be, then fine. Not everyone has to be a leader in the industry. So if you want to stay where you are in a kind of middle-ranking job, then fine. But if you want to kind of increase your earnings, if you want to increase your position in the industry, then you've got to look upwards. And the only way to do that is either to stop being average or to buy into something new. Because if you're working within an agency, you're not going to keep on being promoted and achieving better things if you stay where you are, if you stop improving, if you remain average. My experience with the self-employed kind of sector is very limited, but what I see from the outside is that, I mean, this is a shocking generalization, but it's not going to stop me from saying it, it can be promoted in quite an evangelical way. It's very much sold as the land of milk and honey from looking at it from the outside in. So if you're quite an average agent, maybe you're not aware of the fact you're average, but you're not succeeding with it, you're not being promoted, you're not getting that progression, then you might look at that being presented as, you know, to all intents and purposes, it might look like an easy option. But like Angie said, it's not, and you've got to work your nuts off. But if you're looking for something new, then it looks like a really appealing, attractive option. And sometimes I think it'd be a bit too late when you're knees deep in self-employment. You suddenly realize, actually, this isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be.
I tell you what I find quite interesting when I read, and like you, I haven't really got much experience of people around me that are self-employed, the self-employed model, but I do find it, I follow social media, obviously, a lot. And I find it quite amusing when they say, you know, we're there 24/7. Well, fuck me, who isn't? Do you know what I mean? I'm there 24/7. My phone never goes off. And it's never off, it's never turned off. And I think, why do they say that? Do they think that even when I worked for a corporate, the phone was always on? I just find it amusing because you think we're all the same. If you're an estate agent, you never stop.
Well, so it's funny. You see that. I see quite a lot of, I get to do the school run. And I think, what do you mean you get to? I can't think that's not a, woohoo, school run, sit in traffic, leave the house late and get to work late. That would drive me around the bend. But you're right. There's funny things are quoted as a benefit. Chris, you're the oracle on all things self-employed agency in this room, at least. Over to you.
Well, I could talk for hours on this, right? And I think what Toby and Angie said,
And that's enough from Chris. So on to the next question. No, sorry, mate. Go on.
Where to start, right? So I'm irresponsible recruiting, kind of bleeding on from what Toby said, right? I own a self-employed model. So if I want to bring Angie and Toby, humour me, you're going to come and join me on, it costs me nothing to bring you on. I actually charge you a fee. So my risk is so low that I don't give a damn if Toby fails or not, because Angie may well succeed. And then Angie might know Ben and she can go and recruit Ben, right? So the first thing for me is you're being told it's really easy, it's really hard, and it's irresponsible recruiting. The second bit is, from an ethical point of view, it's low risk on the self-employed models behalf to take on an agent. They don't, on the whole, I don't think it doesn't matter if you succeed or fail, because, you know, if you look at the big models, the big North American models, 30 to 40% of their staff, they lose, or their self-employed agents, they lose a month. For me, that's horrific, right? And then the final bit is, and again, I could talk about this phrase, you could be a world-class agent, the very best agent in Chiswick, right? You could work for one of Ben's competitors, but you may be great as an agent, a valuer, as a negotiator, but you're maybe very crap as a business owner. And how do you cross that chasm? And what does the model, the brand that you're doing, one, make sure that they're bringing on someone that's more likely to succeed than a 30-40% failure rate, and two, give them not just Rightmove and Zoopla, the skills, the tools, the techniques to evolve into that business person and help them on their journey. And if it's a case of you get cheap Rightmove or you get this and that and our CRM's great, but there's no support, there's no tech, there's no marketing suite, whatever, and you're not moving the agent from A to B, then inevitably the fall through rate is going to be high. And that's why average agents come in and fail in these models, in my humble but 8-year-old self-employed model opinion.
Yeah, I'm generally in agreement with everyone. The major for me, which all of you have touched on, is the recruitment element, which I think, apart from it not being good business, if you recruit someone into your business and they're going to make a salary and they're going to be employed, not a great term, but they're sort of protected. They're not going to burn through savings. They're not going to burn through a loan. They're not going to remortgage their house when things don't work out, because they've got a salary. They're coming into a model that exists. There is guaranteed success. My major concern with this is the horror stories you hear that anyone can have a go, and there's not enough time spent trying to put people off, which I know sounds ridiculous. We have only a handful of self-employed operators in our business, and I spent the entire time recruiting them, trying to put them off joining. The amount of wastage in terms of recruitment that I think is really valuable time, I scare the life out of them. You cannot, so our model, which is not the same as everyone else's, but it's the higher value properties, which sort of, it's a slower process actually to gain traction. You don't need as many, but takes a longer period of time, and you don't ever really, as a solo agent, build a market share. You're not known for your market share because you do a handful of deals a year. But you need to bed into the fact that you will not see any revenue into your account for 6, 9, I've heard in some cases 12 months. So if you're not making money, you're spending money, which means, you know, you really are moving backwards in terms of how your bank balance looks. What happens if after 9 months it doesn't work out? The risk is insane. And I just think there needs to be much more transparency around what that looks like. Because, go on, Chris.
All right, Ben. Yeah, just to jump in on that. So we're the same, right? We build in a step of trying to talk people out of it. And I think it's conditioning though, right? So when the self-employed models came over, they've all come from North America, right? And in those models, you have a 30 to 40% fallout because I might leave from Century 21 and go to Remax, right? I don't go self-employed as Chris Buck. I belong to a brokerage. So you get people chopping and changing. So when these models came over 10 years ago or so, it was, don't worry about a 10%, 70% will stay, 30% it won't be for them. That then conditions you for everything going forward. Now, we've been going 4 months and we've had one agent leave in that time. And, you know, I was gutted about it. But my view is I can't keep everyone happy, but 30 to 40% is far too much, because people are burning through savings, taking out second mortgages, you know, car loans. There's so many marriages, literally people are ringing me going, it all went wrong. And I think what you're going to start to see is revolts against certain self-employed models where people get together and just start hitting them hard and doing podcasts and leaving Google reviews or whatever else to say, I was sold a load of BS, and actually there was no transition plan, there was no budget or financial plan. It was just, listen, let's get you in for the end of the month and I'll waive your joining fee or whatever. And ethically, I have a really big problem with that. I really, really do.
Yeah.
So that they are sold a dream, aren't they? They're sold a dream, and they think because they're a good valuer and because they're a good negotiator, it's going to be easy. It's going to be easy, and it just isn't easy. And you know, I've been an agent for 35 years. It's every bloody day is a school day. You sit there and you watch your bank balance go, and you look and think that, you know, and we're quite a market leader where we are. And even I've had my bloody scary moments this year, I tell you. But you sit there, they don't tell you that part, that sometimes you've got no fucking money coming in, and you're like, oh my God, and the VAT's due and all of that. And I just think it's a responsible person. And I don't know you from Adam, to be fair, but it's a responsible person that will sit and try and put them off.
But you're right, Andy. You've got. Sorry, go on. I don't know you're saying that, Chris.
No, but I'm putting over you, Ben. Just keep laying me a load of jib at the start. So when we started, our why was, and this isn't a plug, right? This could apply to any model or be tweaked, but was to help agents grow profitable businesses so they can live the lives they want. So mine isn't all about agent count or being the business or being national. It's how do I take people on and help them become profitable and understand, you know, having that separate VAT bucket, understand cash flow, understand how to read a P&L and what your weekly budget should look like, and turning those agents into business owners. And I don't think the majority of the models do that. They just focus on, are they going to earn some money? And it's amazing how many agents go, I want to earn 100 grand in my business. And you go, well, what about tax and this, that, and the other? And you're like, you're not left with that much. But they're never sold that on the front end. If I say, what's your divvy tax? Or, you know, you're paying yourself £910 a month as a salary, and agents are going, what? Well, why would I do that? So you're not keeping up your NI contribution. All the business ownery stuff that you just don't get taught. It's just get on and let's get our listing count up, which I've got a problem with.
But if you peel it back a layer, right? So people do need to know the X's, you know, but at the most simple level, make more than you're spending. You know, you don't have to, because you talk about P&Ls, and the truth is, my guys, I only talk opinion and won't cast widespread opinion on people I don't know. They're not experts from a P&L perspective. They absolutely, I mean, a balance sheet, I hate looking at a balance sheet, and I've been looking at them for 15 years. There's, you know, just don't spend more than you make. To go back a layer though, what I think is there's not enough time spent on is lead generation and what that looks like and where your actual instructions are going to come from. How long has C Residential been around, Angie?
20 years.
20 years, market leader, spend a fortune on brand familiarity, building it up, massive database of existing clients, huge amount of marketing over here, huge amount of community involvement. There's no way to replicate that overnight. You know, I've sat next to people at dinner and they'll say, I've had a great year. I did X amount, I've done this and I've done that. And my response is, that's amazing. Where did you get your instructions from? Friends and family. So, well, that's okay, good, great. And then they'll say, but I'm not sure, you know, there's nothing in the pipeline. So what's the, you know, it's a really dry, boring conversation. What's your lead generation strategy? Might do a few flyers. And that's, you know, for me, that's where the most education should come in. How you build a business, how you generate leads and opportunities is how you build a successful business. And most agents, and I mean this in the, you know, with the utmost respect, they're fed their leads because the business is generating as opposed to the individual. Sorry, Toby, I realized I cut across you just as you were about to say something.
It was completely worth it. Chris, given your experience, flip it on its head. How would somebody know that they're right for self-employment? What is the kind of person who would work well in self-employment?
Learning based, coachable, experienced as an agent, and is open to where to get the cash flow from. So I'll share one of our recent agents. I won't mention their name, but they came to me and said, Chris, I really want to do this. I've got 30 years experience. I've followed you kind of on socials and seen some of the stuff you did in your previous world. I'm ready to do it. I said, brilliant. I said, I've got no cash flow. I've got no money to come and do it. And I said, well, you can't do it then, can you? I said, but what we should do is let's look at a transition plan, look at your outgoings, look at this, look at that, work out exactly what you need to the month to survive, then work out what your budget is on top, and then work out how much you want it and what your why is. And their why was really, really strong. So I'm going to give you 2 weeks to go and find the money. And they were like, off who? I was like, friends, family, developers, backers, you name it. He's like, well, I've never had those types of conversations before. I'll help you. I'll be in your corner. I'll prep you for the conversations. I'll drive the meetings. But if you want it as much as you say you do, go and get the money. 4 days later, he rings me. He goes, first guy said no. 6 days later, second guy said yes. He was back to go and do it with the cash flow from some developers that believe in him, that he's worked with, and away we go. Why do I share that with you? If I look at, again, learning based and coachable, yes. Strong why, yeah. Access to funds, and people go, I need to save. You don't necessarily need to. Like, as an entrepreneur, I beg, borrow, and nick money not Nick, but you know, I've just done
hey, you give it, look,
right?
an entrepreneur and an estate agent.
Yeah.
Before.
It's all about borrowing money and leveraging. So he's come back and he's got 30 years experience. So for me, that's someone that's going to succeed. To flip it round, Toby, who do I think won't succeed? A young neg that's watched a bit of Selling Sunset, that's probably been made redundant, but they've got Foxtons for a couple of years on their CV, so I think they're great. Who's arrogant, non-learning based, not coachable, who has never had to generate a lead in their life since they walked out of uni. You know, they live in Clapham, probably got a signet ring. I'm going on and on.
Wow, let's leave these poor kids alone.
Yeah,
You're like a bully
fine.
in the playground.
I am, but they've never had to generate a lead in their life. Where experienced agents 30 years, when you go, where did that lead come from? Oh, that's my mate from the gym. Where did that lead come from? Oh, the hockey club. Where did that lead? And all of a sudden people go, oh, I can go and do it because they are involved in their local community.
Which I think's the key, because if it was me and I was looking and I was you looking to employ somebody, I'd say, well, do I know of them? Do they know sufficient people? Have they built up this network of people that they are just the estate agent? It doesn't give a shit where you work for. You can work for any of the big people. You can work for a small independent, as long as people come for you.
Oh, so all I would say on that is that's a really difficult position to be, certainly in our area, in our locality, to be the go-to agent in any of the areas where we work in London. It's so saturated with agents, and then the community and network effect, it's just not the same. When we work in more rural areas, you can be the face of the community, you can interact, you can sponsor, you know, all the usual bits and pieces. Not teach you.
No, but people will follow Fine and Country though, won't they? It's a brand. It's
personal versus brand. Yeah. So it works for, we require that brand to break into that marketplace. And so that's actually a really good point. Different brands, different brokerage styles are all going to have their niche and different way of operating. The only other things I would say, Toby, that when you ask Chris what is required to be a good agent or what makes a strong agent, I would say enormous resilience and work ethic. Like those two things are so overlooked because life. Yeah, but
it doesn't matter then it doesn't matter whether you're self-employed, employed, does it? If you're going to be an estate agent and a successful one, and it isn't about monetary things, that follows, doesn't it? To me, it's about, I sound like holier than thou, but it's about satisfaction, knowing you've done a kick-ass job for somebody and they will recommend you. And that to me is the biggest satisfaction. And that's what's always driven me. So you've got to have a drive, haven't you? And it can't just be about money.
But certainly the resilience, the toughness mentally and, you know, almost physically, that's universal. Yeah. Any type of agency. Absolutely.
I was at a conference, call it a conference, a year or so ago, or maybe it's 2 years ago, sorry, and we were starting to get into the self-employed model. I was one of the speakers, and someone afterwards came up and said to me, how do you recruit for self-employed? You know, what are the skill set? What are you looking for? And I was so early into that self-employed journey, I was reluctant to answer. I said, I've spent almost 20 years recruiting people that are employed into the team, and these are things we look for, but self-employed, I don't really have a good answer for you. I go back in time, so the stuff Chris talked about is very specific to the model. But to your point, Toby, the resilience, the work ethic, the drive, you mentioned that, Angie, and having determination, those things are just universal. And for me, they're the top things we look for. They've got to have the financial security to go self-employed. But if they're not going to outwork everyone else in their market, they really are going to struggle to break in. I genuinely believe that.
So the two reasons, in my view, self-employed agents fail are mindset and cash flow, and it's in that order. And it's the mindset of, I'm going to get up every day and go to war, right? I'm going to listen to Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins and go out and knock 400 doors till my shoe leather's beaten. Or versus that abundant mindset versus the scarcity mindset of, oh, I've got 2 listings on, one's fallen through, and you're in, you're 35 days in, and you go, you're still going to do you spend your money on your canvassing or your direct mail, or I think, I'm going to cut it this month because I've had a bad first month, and you go, what are you doing? Again, it comes back to that business ownership mentality of no, this is where you double down on your investment, because if you only got a pipeline, if you only got runway of 6 to 8, 9 months, you don't in month 2. This is when you spend month 3's money because you've got to play catch up. And then all of a sudden they go, no, I don't do that. Oh, I'm not getting it. I've had a bad day this week. And it's pretty bad. And, I'm all for men's mental health and women's mental health. But when young agents ring me and go, oh, I've had a bit of a bad mental health day today. And you go, okay, it's Tuesday. What did you do the weekend? Oh, I went to a garage brunch. And you go, I'm putting a few things together here. No wonder you're not feeling great. You've got to be committed. That garage brunch, you go or you don't go, in fact, because
what the hell's a garage brunch?
I'll take you, Angie. You'll love it.
No, you're right.
Just to be clear, Angie, you won't love it. But you can take me. I'll love it. Yeah. All right. Good. So, sorry, Chris, just on your point, which I think the real value in, I'm sure businesses like yours, businesses like mine, self-employed, is helping create support and accountability. When they're having a bad day, they're part of a group, a team, a network, whatever it is, even though they're all individual agents. I think that my feedback from talking to other people, it seems like quite often it can be lonely out there when you go self-employed. And that, I think, that causes a lot of risk. And it's also, it's got to be the easiest thing to solve. Just get on the phone to each other, have a meeting, have a virtual meeting, wherever it might be. That's astonishing. You just apply the things that have worked in traditional agency over the years, the collective. Look, right. So we've got not long to go to meet that time that we all said we were going to aim for. As expected, Chris has talked too much. So we'll move on to number 2. Social hand grenade. Right. So social hand grenade is something I've seen on social media. And it's either a hand grenade that's gone off, it's exploded, lots of engagement, lots of views, comments, blah, 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 or it didn't detonate and it hasn't got the interactions that I think it should. This week, I've got one that didn't really go down that well, but I thought was worth highlighting to people. So I'm just going to share it with you. The cheapest agent is the one who achieves you the highest price, not the one who charges the lowest fee.
I don't even understand it.
I was just sitting here thinking.
I read that myself.
Like a riddle.
I read that and I ignored it because I hadn't got a clue what it meant.
I got it, Ben, but I'm.
Oh.
Yeah, well, Chris, we've got to drag these two along for the ride. So
Bless them.
Break it down for them, will you, please?
It's basically so don't compete on fee. If for example, Ben lists one at £1 million, I co-list it. Ben's fees, he's a great agent, are probably 0.75. Mine are 2. It doesn't matter what the fees are in proportion. It imagines who gets you the highest price. So if I get 1.1 for it, I will be cheaper than Ben because he'll probably only get 1, if that makes sense.
Is that what that said?
Move on.
It's your net return on the sale. So sale price minus fee, who gets you the best figure? In Chris's example, absolutely in a different dimension, Chris is outperforming moi. But okay, all right. Well, that's a shame. I thought it was brilliant. I used it in my training last week with the team. But much like this room, half the team are pretty sharp and switched on, and half looked at me dazed.
Well, do you know what? I don't really care whether I'm not switched on or not. So I just thought, okay, and just moved on from that comment that I read.
I agree with the principal. I just failed the IQ test.
And me. You and me both. Well, what the hell? I'll still carry on in the morning.
It's the word. It's the word cheap, Ben. That
I know. Yeah.
don't mention it.
It's not perfect. It's not how I would deliver it to a consumer, but there's something in it for sure.
That's the challenge, isn't it? That's the eternal challenge of
You know what
coming
that
up
was?
with a way of
Ben,
presenting
that's
that to the consumer.
tumbleweed moment, isn't it? Look, that's when it.
And I really feel for that because he's a really good agent, and it really struck me. Yeah, he's managed to deliver it in one sentence, but clearly over people's heads.
He can workshop it. He can reword it.
Listen, I'll send him some feedback. I'll send him some feedback. We'll see how he gets on with that.
Get him to ring me and tell him to put it in real words.
Yeah, real words. Bloody hell! You lot from up there, real words.
Love up north.
Right. You can't make it up. So, who's got something? Who wants to lighten the mood with it? You cannot believe this is going on in my life, your life, somewhere, something crazy story. What you got for us? Toby, looks like you're itching to go.
Happily dive in there. Okay. I'm going to start this by asking what I have in common with Vladimir Putin and Serbian dictator Slobodan Milosevic. I'll tell you. So I work in lettings. Lettings is just relentless entertainment. And we had a tenant who moved to Bath, who told us that he was fleeing persecution from his home country, which obviously is not to be laughed at. I'm sure it's very serious.
Yeah, I'll edit my laughing out there. I'll just
very serious set of circumstances. He was obviously extremely on edge and a very volatile personality. And his go-to threat, and it wasn't just a threat because he followed through on it a number of times, was if you don't do what I ask you to do, then I will report you to the International Criminal Court at The Hague. And so he'd email and he'd say, I need my light bulb changing. And we'd say, I'm very sorry, that's the tenant's responsibility. And he'd reply, copying in the information desk at the International Criminal Court at The Hague, saying, this is an absolute disgrace. I'd like to report a crime. There must be numerous files with my name on at The Hague, which is a badge I wear with pride, sitting alongside war criminals. Some poor bureaucrat at The Hague has received countless emails telling them that I have failed to replace light bulbs, do other menial chores for this poor tenant. And I'd love to know what happened to all those emails, whether they actually got processed, whether they've taken seriously, whether anyone's opened a file with my name on it and filed it next to Vladimir Putin and Slobodan Milosevic. So yeah, that's mine. It's a lively tenant who thought the best way to achieve what they wanted was to involve the International Criminal Court at The Hague.
Makes sense. I mean, I get it. When dealing with reside of Bath, you know, you go to the right level of policing.
Yeah, sometimes the ombudsman's just not enough.
No, you fight fire with fire. You know, if you're going to deal with you guys, got to bring some heat.
Exactly.
What you got?
It's so boring, really. I've tried to look at this and thought, oh, funny comment. No, I've got like boring stuff about used condoms in beds and bedrooms and stuff like that. When I was selling a house in Burton years ago, a guy split up from his wife, or partner or whatever it is. She'd obviously left him. So I was selling their house, walked in with a viewer, and there's used condoms, I will say, all over the floor, whatever. So when I'd actually ripped his nuts off him after, I said, anyway, there you go. That's boring. I wish I was your story now. Oh,
I don't think that's boring. A sea of used condoms is never
really boring. I just think,
How many were there?
5.
Good effort.
Yeah, but God, imagine he just left them. It just a scut, complete scut.
Oh, it sounds like a month's worth.
Did they buy it?
All in one night or one day.
Oh, I'm not having that. There must have been 5 of them there. It's the only way. Chris, we got. Were you one of the 5?
I was, yeah.
Who, me or Chris?
Wow.
We're both there, but I think we're both I let a property, so I only do 10, 15 deals a year. My view is I don't want to be the guy that runs the business and doesn't still actively go out and list and sell and let and stuff like that. So I let a property on the river for 10.5 grand a month, lovely fee. And I said to the landlady at the time, listen, we haven't had many people inquire. These are young Chinese graduates who are about to have, it's
Classic.
about to go into the employed world. I went to visit their property in one Blackfriars that they were moving out from. It was a little messy, and there was a poker table there. And I said, what's that poker table? And they went, oh, no, we're just looking after it for a friend who's gone back to China. So I thought, okay, no problem. So I said to the landlord, listen, we probably want to build in an extra cleaning into the AST that they get it clean once a week, freshening, la la. Upon my first inspection, I stumbled across 4 poker tables, 9 people, and what appears to be an illegal gambling den. So I had to, I shouldn't laugh, especially if my landlord was watching. So yeah, I had to sort that out, which has been pretty painful. And then Ben, you'll love this one. I did a viewing on Friday, and the guy said, after, do you want to go for a beer? I said, I'm off the booze for a month, but I'll come and have a non-alcoholic. He talked about offering. He had his right-hand man there who does all his negotiation. Property's 3 mil, lovely fee on it. He goes, yeah, I'll probably offer ask. Didn't hear from him. On Friday evening, I rang. I said, just to let you know, I've had someone else inquire. Let me know. We'll catch up next week. My wife rang because she's an agent that works with us as well. And she is a very, very good agent. And
She's behind you right now.
Say again? No,
Is she behind you right
He's
now?
spraying his hair, mate, behind him.
She's the best agent in. Yeah, right. So she comes in this morning. Okay, did you speak to the gentleman that was going to offer? She said, yeah. Like, he said that he told you he wasn't going to offer, and can you not neg anymore? Do you not know how to negotiate? And she tore me apart. And I was like, no, ring him back. It must be another property because he's going to offer on this one. No, he just wasn't going to offer.
I mean, look, like you said, you're 4 months into your new business. You've got that new naivety buzz about you. Everything's going to be business. Everyone's a deal.
Everyone's a sale.
I know.
Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been there.
I've got deposit down on the Rolex and everything, but what can you do?
I've got another one for you. About 15 years ago, I sold a house and it was 800,000. And for me, that's a big deal around where we live. And the guy rang me and the buyer wanted to give him cash in a bag, right? So I said to the owner, who lived in Spain, look, I'm going to walk away from this deal. And he was a lovely, soft Irish little guy. And he went, basically saying, look, Angie, I don't want to lose him. And I said, listen, if I have to sit on his face, and I just said it, and I have to sit on his face, and he went, right. And I was on the phone, people in the office swung around and were like, what are you saying? And I went, and I didn't know what to say then. And the chap said, I wouldn't go that extreme. He said, I know you couldn't do anything, but I wouldn't stop. Anyway, whatever. There you go. I just thought about that one.
Did you, Ange?
Did I? Too right, I did, chap, and I sold it.
Yeah, 37 years ago, was it? Or 27 years ago? Yeah, she closes deals, this girl. Don't worry about that. Right, nice stories. It's funny how we always get to sex stuff. Okay. Every week. Agents Together. Okay, I'll clip with Sam Offley of Agents Together. So Agents Together, for anyone who doesn't know by now, just briefly, it's a mentor-mentee charity set up for the property industry. If you think you would benefit from a mentor, which 99.9% of people would, reach out to Sam and have a chat. If you think you'd benefit by being a mentor, very, very fulfilling. I can't recommend it enough. It's a great initiative, and it's free. So reach out to Sam. Sam hasn't provided us with a video. He provided us with a question, though, this week for you three. The question this week from his mentees that's coming up quite often is, what's the best way to stay motivated? So they're struggling with their motivation. What advice and tips can you give to mentees on staying motivated? Go on, Ange.
Listen to podcasts. Definitely listen to podcasts. When you're driving around in the car, listen to all the Tony Robbinses of this world. Just start to absorb stuff. That'll keep you motivated.
Okay. Chaps?
Yeah, it's definitely, for me, all about learning. Podcasts are a great place to start, whether it's podcasts, books, courses, networking, learning from others, visiting other businesses. Always be learning. If you haven't got a goal, a target, something that you're working on, something that you're trying to improve, then you're going to stagnate, you're going to get bored, you're going to lose your motivation. Always be learning.
Always be learning. What's another word for learning that begins with C? Always be. It's definitely an ABC there. I just can't think of what it is. Buckler, what you got for us?
Accountability is a breakfast of champions.
Oh, cliche city with this one, isn't it?
I know. Or just give yourself a prize if you know that you're going to get to the end of the quarter and you've hit the goals. We'll send Ange around and she'll no.
The right price.
That's it.
Wow, that's my girl.
Not the only one to leave with the bag of money. No, right. So the thing for me is you set your goals, like Toby said. Keep yourself surround yourself with positive people, right? And listen to your podcast and all that good stuff. But for me, and I've done this today because I have a couple of mentors, in fact, but I'm in the process of taking on someone else that will beat me up. They will just kick the shit at me every Friday if I've not hit. It's my business, right? But where do I want to move it to, and what are the goals, and what do I need to do to get it there? I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing. I'm getting distracted, etc. So all the stuff I coach and teach out, I know because I've learned it. AB's held it for years, right? But I'm not doing it. So I need someone to go, what are you freaking doing? And so for me, that accountability is the most important meeting of the week.
I think the people you spend your time with, I think that's critical. The people you surround yourself with, the people who you text, the people who you chat to on a daily basis. If you surround yourself with people who are just as like-minded and ambitious and progressive as you are, then they won't let you stagnate. They'll have people who call you out, who'll let you know if you've dropped the ball.
But you know what? Whilst I completely agree with that can be challenging in this industry. You can find yourself in a business that's not forward thinking. You're not surrounded by necessarily people that are particularly motivated. They've had 3 crazy years and now dealing with what are tougher conditions. Motivation in the room dwindles, and that can suck even the most motivated person down into it. So whilst I agree completely, surround yourself with the right sort of people, I think that's probably one of the reasons this question is being asked, because there aren't so many of those sort of people knocking about at the moment. But
there's enough, particularly with Agents Together, there's enough things online. There's enough things that people that, me, you, so I don't know you two guys, but, we're getting it out there and saying, if you want to pick the phone up, give us a ring, let's have a chat. And all you need is a 5-minute conversation with somebody who doesn't know you at all to just make you feel great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect advert for being a mentee. Just set that up. Even Chris Buckler, the superstar that he is, has several mentors. Just like Roger Federer has 4 coaches and did throughout his entire career. The best in the world have people helping them. It's just such a naive view that you think you've made it once you've reached a certain point. All right, guys, great advice. We're back on track. We got through that one nice and quick. Right. Waffle of the week. You guys might have seen this because we're all in the same groups. I've got to call this one out. This sort of drivel is just too much for me. I'll show you it. We can't see who's posted it. So I'm a nice guy in that respect. Estate agents, would you go to a conveyancing academy training day if it meant your deals exchanged in 6 weeks? Oh, what on earth? What, I mean, yeah, sure, of course I would. Yeah, if what are you going to teach me one day and that will guarantee an exchange in 6 weeks?
There's no shortcuts in life.
Just and that is in pretty much every agency group out there.
And all buyers are ready to go, and every chain's lovely, and everybody knows what they're doing, and the solicitors are all on board. Life's just fluffy, isn't it?
It's just bollocks. And you know what? In these Facebook groups where this stuff gets posted, there's plenty of guys thinking about self-employed agency. And so they're like, I could go training course and then everything I sell will go through in 6 weeks. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you're that naive, just think about, McDonald's. But I'm not, rubbish. All right, what you got, you guys? What are you seeing? Well, I once.
I started
big and juicy.
Was that me?
That's you, big and juicy.
Who's big and juicy?
You know what? Anyone go.
I started on this last night and it snowballed. I wrote a whole page of stuff.
Wow. Christ.
Can I rattle through it?
This is the beauty of an ex-teacher being on the podcast. Just props all the rest of us up. It's beautiful. Toads, go mad.
It's really therapeutic. Okay, people who make business calls while driving. It's not going to work if I can only hear every other word. Using at all when you don't need to. Have you got an email address at all? No, I've got a whole email address, not just half of one. Saying myself to sound formal. You'll meet myself at the property. You mean me. You don't get bonus points for the extra syllable. Recording videos while you're walking around. I'm so busy and successful that I only have time to talk to you while I'm in transit. Sit down and talk to me directly.
Guilty.
People who start a call.
I agree completely on that.
People who start a call with who am I speaking to? Have some manners, say hello, ask me who I am so I can tell you that I'm fine. People who type out my email address correctly and then start their email, hi Tony. Just, it's Toby, it's not complicated. People who email you and then immediately phone you about the email. People who like their own LinkedIn posts. People who only knock others down rather than build them up. People who tell you that they love your videos but never like or comment. Come on, it's not hard. Help to amplify others. And people who take to the internet to espouse their baseless beliefs on the assumption that someone out there will give a damn.
That's the best list we've had so far. All I'm thinking now is I'm not sure how Chris and Angie are going to top that. That was pretty good. Chris, what do you think about walking videos?
The most important thing is consistency in getting videos out. I know, yeah. What type of knobhead does walking videos?
I'm probably just jealous because I tried it once and I was crap. So you know.
So I've done a few in the car recently, and my sister rang me straight away and went, "Oh, don't do that! Don't do that! Please don't do that." But video, as long as you're adding value and you're getting them out, I don't think it matters. If it's tripe and drivel, then don't do it, right? So it's got to be valuable. So here's Toby. Here's the thing that I struggle with, and that is I am one of those people that goes, I haven't got time, and I do. It's why I get my accountability partner to beat me up. I should be doing professional videos stacked out in like 3 hours in an office and then putting them out on socials a few times a week, captioning them and all that stuff. But I'm not, so I feel it's good to do my little car-y ones because at least I'm doing it rather than not.
I agree with that. But I think that some people like it stylistically, you know, like they're just, I'm walking along having a chat to the phone because it makes me look busy. Yeah.
No, I mean, I might do one on the way to my Harvest Festival in a minute. Like, yeah, I've got an appointment. So yeah, that'll be me because otherwise I'll go on. Angie, what you got?
HS2.
Oh, big finish.
Guys? What's your bloody thoughts? Can I tell you where I am on it?
You've got to give us the detail because us Southerners are completely unaffected.
So HS2. So it came in and tried to obliterate the whole of our countryside here in Staffordshire. And actually what it's going to do for me now, rather than being 20 metres on a bridge up there somewhere in a village that I live very near, or in cuttings, because they've carved all the countryside up where I live. It's actually going to stop now about the hub in Hansacre, it's called. That's where it's finishing, which is 2 miles down the road from me. So happy days for me, because house prices are going to shoot up with a bit of luck, and everything this end's going to look fantastic because they're going to re-put everything back, hopefully. But yeah, there you go. I just wondered what your thoughts were, Southerners, because obviously the southern part of this country moaned about, didn't want things through cuttings, they wanted it all underground, and us poor suckers ended up with it being 20 metres above beautiful cafes and whatever.
Basically, my view on this, Ange, right, is if you get
all right, come on then, lad.
Money bab out of London, right, up to the Midlands, it's trickle down economics in it, so it's great. I am pro HS2 because I am, and I tell you why I am pro it is I genuinely believe what I just said, and I'll leave my Brummie accent there, is the centre of the UK, and I'm not from London, right? But London controls everything. It's where all the top meetings happen. It's why I moved back down here for more opportunity. If we can get more opportunity to smaller businesses in the Midlands, and they can get into London quicker. I know it's only 20 minutes, and people say it's not that much. like when HSBC went up to the Midlands and Deloitte and all those other businesses, and it had a really big impact on everything, right? The housing market, everything that was happening in the Midlands. I think it's a really good thing to try and pull the money out of London and get it up to the Midlands.
Okay, so what they've done, okay, so it does stop in Birmingham, so that achieves that for the West Midlands. But then I'm on about from there upwards, which is going really where it was supposed to be. Because what they should have done is switched it round and started in far up north and then bring it down and see how it went. So I tell you what, it would have been finished.
I don't give a shit. I'm not that bothered. As long as it makes it earning a bit of dough, that's all I care about. You can shove your countryside. No, I'm joking, but that's.
I know you are. I'm not against.
What's your opinion on HS2?
Hang on a sec. I'm not against it. I'm not against it, Chris. What I'm against is the phenomenal amount of money that was spent, wasted, and everything else. Anyway, that's
so basically your point is you'd rather see them finish the job they started, right? Now they've come this far. Finish it.
Because I think that it shouldn't have got to escalate as big as it did. Okay, because I think they should have had an economy of scale. Somebody should have been sat there looking. Who knew what was going to happen with the Ukraine and all of that and the cost of living? And I do listen to what you've said, Chris. I can understand all of that, but I think it just needed somebody just to handle it in a very different way. Maybe sort all the networks out and upgrade all of those.
But what would you rather now, that they stop as they are or they continue with the original?
Well, I'm happy as bloody shit now, Ben, because it's actually going to be a hub 2 minutes down the road from where we live. So our house prices, quite frankly, are going to go.
You always get that one that wins like out of nowhere and moans, don't you, Ben?
Yeah, I'm not moaning. I'm not moaning. What I'm doing, I wanted to throw it out there. I wanted to throw it out.
I mean, it's certainly a mastermind in how not to manage a large-scale project. Obviously, there's a lot of questions to be answered about what's going to happen to people whose land and homes were bought up. That's a massive knot that needs to be unraveled, and it's not going to. It's going to work out very badly for a lot of people. Just the whole thing has lacked clarity from the very beginning. I assumed that it was a travesty for everyone. Angie seems pretty chuffed. Am I right?
I saw someone posted saying the day before it was announced that they were going to shelve it, they were still buying properties at 10% above market rate. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Wow. Can I just say, though, I've been involved because obviously we're in Staffordshire, so I was involved with a lot of people that were getting bought out by HS2, and it was a ball ache, an absolute ball ache. But I've got friends who are farmers, and their farms are all like cut in half, and it's just, I mean, I'm only chuffed in so much that if you can be chuffed, because it's not going to have the dramatic effect now that it would have had in our beautiful part of the country. Because I'm round by Cannock Chase, if you know that is, Chris, but I'm round that part, and it was horrific what they were doing.
Yeah.
So I'm chuffed because of that, because our beautiful countryside isn't going to be as cut up and carved up. It'll be something else, but not as dramatic. Can you imagine being there and you're there on the Trent to Mersey Canal, right, on your little bloody boat, and looking up and there's this fucking thing 20 meters up in the air? Because that's what it was. Anyway, there you go. Thought I'd throw that in, Ben.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You've just, I mean, you've won, Ange. Property prices, you've got a hub, you're not looking at things 20 back in the air, first world problems by the sound of things, I've got to say. Right, we're done. This has been, we're 3 minutes late. That is great effort, bearing in mind we've got Ange and Chris on, and Toby brought 18 waffles to the table that he's not happy about this week. That is good effort. We're going to hand over to Watkins with his whimsy, as always. All is left for us to say goodbye. You've been wonderful guests. Thank you so much. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Every single profession we look up to, solicitors, accountants, architects, have to do continued professional development. But the question is this: when was the last time that you went on some training development as an estate agent? And the bit that even gets me even more is this, is we expect our bosses to pay for our training and development. I say this: take personal responsibility, it's your career. When was the last time you improved yourself? You don't have to spend any money. You've got this thing called YouTube. You've got books. Start reading them and start improving and be a better agent so you can earn more money. Walking out.